everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to give another update on how Ian and I are continuing to handle the pandemic. I do have a part 1 of these life update videos, and I'll include the link to that in the description down below. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below as well. Also, don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my new content as it comes out. So in my last update video, I explained a lot about why Ian and I chose to leave New York City back in March. I talked about where we were staying in the meantime, how it was affecting our jobs, and a lot of other information. Our decision to a little more seriously move back, while still temporarily, really came down to 4 big things, and that was rent, safety, jobs, and saving money. So ultimately, Ian and I did choose to give up our apartment. We had a really nice 1-bedroom right in downtown Brooklyn. I actually just uploaded an apartment tour. If you want to go take a look, I'll include the link to that video in my description as well. I basically talk about what our apartment looked like, what our neighborhood was like, how much we were paying a month in rent. But our lease for that apartment was a year-long lease, and it runs up at the end of this month, August of 2020. We have still been paying our rent every month since we left the city back in March. Neither of us really thought it was worth it to go through the whole process of breaking our lease. We do want to return to the same neighborhood, but the truth of the matter really was that continuing to pay our rent for another year-long lease while I'm still unemployed just really wasn't feasible for us. We definitely could have made it work if that's what we really wanted to do. I am on the New York unemployment system, so I am getting payment from them while I'm still looking for another job. But with the other options we had and taking into consideration some of the other factors that went into this decision, it really just made more sense for us to leave temporarily and figure things out a little longer back in New Hampshire before trying to move back to the city. Hello? Hi.
Sorry. I didn't mean to make you flustered. I'll be out.
I'm not flustered.
Okay, well you're not flustered. You don't even seem flustered at all. I'm out of here. Bye.
Okay. As of right now, I believe the number of coronavirus cases in New York City is on a downward trend, which is great, and I really hope they're able to keep that up. However, Ian and I are still concerned about the second wave of the pandemic. A lot of studies show that we are still in the first wave, and I really think these next few months will play a large hand in how our country will continue to be affected by coronavirus and how that'll affect our day-to-day lives. As much as I loved our apartment in downtown Brooklyn, neither of us really wanted to be quarantined there. It was a small space, and we have family back home who had more space and were offering to let us stay with them, which we were both really thankful for. And it just made more sense while we're still not going out, we're still staying home and keeping to ourselves and social distancing to come where it would be more comfortable for us to do so. On top of that, Ian and I would be at a higher risk of contracting the virus in the city than we would be in New Hampshire. There's a lot more people there. We would have to leave our apartment more for to do our laundry and things like that, whereas we don't have those same concerns when we're living here in New Hampshire. Ian and I are also both very close with our families, and if we were to stay in the city, we would not be able to see our families at all. We wouldn't be willing to take that chance or that risk. Unfortunately, it was really an all or nothing decision. If we stayed in the city, we stayed in the city, and if we came back to New Hampshire, we weighed out the rest of this crazy situation here. We chose to have the support of our families. Another huge factor that played into this decision is the fact that Ian's company is not requiring they go back to the physical office until 2021 at least. So Ian's able to continue working from home. I discussed in our last video how my jobs were a bit less accommodating. I was able to finish out my internship with Penguin Random House, but a lot of the book publishing companies I was hoping to get work with after that internship are still on a hiring freeze because of the pandemic. While I am still looking for any remote positions or jobs I can find, ultimately neither of us has to be in the city right now for our careers. The last thing we really considered when deciding how we were going to continue handling this pandemic is the fact that if we were to come home for a few months, and we're really hoping it's only going to be a couple of months, we would still be able to save a lot of money. I don't think it's any secret that rent in New York City is not cheap. Ian's grandfather grandfather, whose house we had been staying in from March to July, actually has another house up in northern New Hampshire where we stayed during my last semester of college because they were so close together. That house is currently unoccupied, and his grandfather very graciously gave us permission to move up there while we continue to deal with this situation. Ian still has his job, I'm still looking for remote work, and without a New York City rent to pay for a couple of months, we're going to be able to put some money aside that we wouldn't have been able to otherwise. I think Ian and I are both just really trying to make the best of it in whatever way we can. We're both so grateful to have the support of our families and that they're willing to let us use their extra space while we continue trying to figure out what our next steps are and how we're going to continue handling this situation. Neither of us wanted to leave New York City. That's really where we both want to be at the end of the day. But it just made the most sense for us in our personal situation to come back to New Hampshire until things have calmed down a bit more. As of right now, we're hoping we can return to New York City in December, but that decision is also constantly changing as new information comes out and as we're learning more about this virus. Just because this is what we're deciding to do and this is the best decision for our current situation doesn't mean that that's going to be the case for everybody. I know a lot of people whose best choice right now is to stay in New York City and to keep their apartment, and that is totally fine. No one is going to be affected by this crazy situation in the same way. This pandemic is not a joke, and we all have to remember that it's not over. We all really need to continue social distancing, wearing your mask, and doing whatever we can to slow the spread any further. And most importantly, please vote this November. Those are really the only ways we are going to eventually come out of this. We are in this together. You guys are not alone. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below. I'll continue to give you guys updates on our situation and how we're choosing to handle things. Hopefully it helps some of you guys out there. And if it did, please give this video a thumbs up if my advice helped you, if it made you feel less alone at least. In the comments, let me know if you guys have any other questions about how we are handling things, about the city, about New Hampshire. I'll do my best to answer them. Remember that things will get better, but we all have to do our part. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!